action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Before You Bet. Airing live right now on the Covers YouTube and X channels. If you're on YouTube right now, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. A lot of great content here on the Covers YouTube channel. So a great big show planned for you guys today. We have an absolute avalanche of college football games kicking off here tonight, going into the weekend. Good looking board here, Major League Baseball as well. So a big college football show, a handful of Major League Baseball picks in the second half of the show. If you guys want to participate in the show today, very easy to do so. Just hit up that live chat on YouTube and on X. Let us know what you like this weekend in college football. A lot of games tonight. Anything that you're on, let us know. Also, any bets you like in baseball, NFL futures, drop them in the comment section. Okay, very happy to be welcoming a new guest to the show today. This guy's going to be with us today and each and every Thursday during the football season. He is a former standout tight end at Michigan, former draft pick of the Denver Broncos, currently doing great work with the Big Ten Network. And I hate to give up the title of the most handsome man that will be appearing on the show each week, but I got to hand it over to Jake. So Jake, welcome to the show. How you making out?
Oh, listen, Joe, I'm fired up, man. Seriously, like I think like for like 1,000 years, since the beginning of mankind, like we've looked at our life as like 4 seasons, you know, like spring, summer, fall, winter. But for me, I'm a sicko. Like football's in my blood. It's just 2 seasons. It's in season and it's off season. We got a little appetizer last week with the week 0 games. As you mentioned, full plate of games, even Sunday games this weekend. I can't wait to break them down with you.
Football, jogging pants, beer. That's what I love about the fall, right? I cannot wait to get into it. So yeah, we got a bunch of games tonight here in college. So we're going to be leaning on Jake's experience as a former player, mostly college talk. We're going to be touching on the NFL though as well, including today. So a lot of topics to get into, Jake. We're jumping all over the place. So let's start with this. Some major head coaching changes in college football, of course, headlined by Michigan and Alabama. So my question to you is, which program that has gone through a major coaching change do you think will struggle to adjust here this season?
I think it's a great question to talk about the state of college football, which is just, it's an arms race and a resource race. So like you mentioned, 2 of the biggest programs, Alabama and Michigan, new coaches struggle. I don't think either of those programs will struggle going forward just because of the fact they effectively have unlimited resources. So you have to start to kind of look for these middle tier teams and 2 that stand out. One of them we'll start with is a new Big Ten team, which is UCLA. Really late coaching change where Chip Kelly left to become the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. You bring in Deshaun Foster, who players love him. He's a former running back. He's a legend at the school. But they just don't have the resources, and understanding the gauntlet that's in the Big Ten, as well as the travel they're going to have to take on this fall. It's going to be a tough road for the Bruins. And then another one is Duke, who really had some success here in the past few years under Elko and with Riley Leonard at quarterback. Well, now you bring in Manny Diaz, who was the defensive coordinator of Penn State, and all of a sudden there's a whole shift in philosophy. And Manny Diaz can call a defense, but it helps to have the level of players that he had at Penn State. The question remains to be seen how he can do that at Duke. So as far as the top programs go, I don't see really any of them struggling. They just have too many resources these days. It's those middle tiers, I think, at least where betting comes, that you can start to find value.
Okay, next up, we take a look at the top of the Hiesman Futures odds board. Of course, it is dominated by quarterbacks. Gabriel, Beck, and Ewers make up the top 3. But my question to you is there a quarterback that's not getting a lot of buzz right now that you could see shooting up draft boards, you know, getting in the mix for the NFL draft and maybe even being a candidate for the Heisman?
Yeah, I think particularly for the draft, I'll go with Drew Aller out of Penn State. And it really wasn't a sexy year last year, but it was efficient, extremely efficient. I think he threw 1 interception on the season. And you look at the total numbers and you're like, it doesn't make you jump out of your seat. But, I covered Penn State. I covered the conference. they had no one to throw the ball to. They had no wide receiver one. So I think Penn State feels their receiver room is healthy and upgraded this fall. I know NFL GMs and coaches, the number one thing we would talk about in our team meetings is turnover margin. They will love the fact that Drew Aller knew when to push the ball down the field and how to take care of the football. So the big challenge for him is in the big games. Didn't look good versus Ohio State. Didn't look good versus Michigan. Looked good against the rest of the schedule. If he can have big games in the biggest moments, he's a guy that has all the intangibles to be a first-round talent.
Okay, two questions here. The first one leads into a betting question. So, of course, you played in both college and the NFL. We know you had the injury at the end of your college career, but once you got on the field in the NFL, what was the most difficult adjustment from the college game to the pro game?
This is what many don't really take into consideration, the schedule that these guys take on. So if you just think about the college football season has extended now into January, right? Then you take a week or two off to let your body heal. All of a sudden you start training. Then comes the combine. You continue training. Then comes your pro day. Before you know it, there's the draft. Then you're flying out to the team for OTAs. After OTAs, rookies have to stay for 2 weeks. So now you're into July. You might as well not go home because you have early report for rookie camp. Roll right into camp, preseason games, into the season. It's effectively, it's a continuation going all the way back to camp of your senior, junior year. Those are long, long seasons. And we talk about hitting the rookie wall for guys. So a big piece of this is like, what's the level of discipline for guys? Can they handle that? What's their IQ? Can they grasp the playbook? Just in college, the discrepancy, like a guy like Caleb Williams, he could sleepwalk and throw for 400 yards in college, but in the NFL, everybody's good. So can you grasp the depth of an NFL playbook? That goes for every position. It's the schedule and the IQ, I think, that make the biggest difference.
Okay, second part of this question. You spent a lot of time watching these guys last season, so I want to get your input. Anyone stand out to you for good bets for Rookie of the Year in the NFL? Of course, on the offensive side of the ball, Caleb Williams is the favorite, a big favorite, plus 135. Latu and Turner neck and neck on the defensive side. Anyone stand out to you for Rookie of the Year bets in the NFL?
When you look at the most recent Rookie of the Year winners, it's all on the offensive side of the ball. And anytime a quarterback has, met expectations, it's been a quarterback. So it's safe to me that you would assume that. I think Caleb's going to win it. I think, the momentum will be too hard to ignore. I bet he breaks the passing records. I think he resets the record book for the Bears this year. The bar really isn't that high. But you're not getting great value, right? You mentioned he's the favorite. It's like on a season-long award like that, you're not getting great value. So then I look and I say, Jaden Daniels is a guy that I think is extremely talented, and Washington has been a program that's down in the dump. Think about the storylines late in the season if he's leading them to victories. And they've done a great job surrounding him with coaches and talent. He's a guy that can make an immediate impact. And then I'll throw out Marvin Harrison Jr., immediately wide receiver one out there for the Cardinals. Would be shocked if he doesn't knock on the door at least of 1,000 yards this fall. Those guys are a little bit better value than Caleb.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, he had a lot of success with DeAndre Hopkins, so maybe Harrison slots into that role for him as the number one, right? Okay, so college football. We got a lot of big games this weekend. There's 3 games in particular I want to get your input on. Let's start Saturday, Clemson taking on Georgia. Georgia, of course, favorite to win the national championship. Clemson plus 175 to make the playoff. Georgia favored by 13.5 in this game. How do you see this one playing out?
That's a big line. But I will say, I do think there is a big gap even between Georgia and the rest of college football, let alone Clemson. It's a big year for Dabo Swinney, right? I mean, he's kind of hurt himself with some of the comments about NIL and the transfer portal, and he needs a marquee win. I just don't think it's going to be this weekend. Even at 13.5 points, Clemson's quarterback Klubnik, I haven't seen it, and especially not in the biggest moments. And I certainly don't think I'll see it against this Georgia defense. Meanwhile, Carson Beck is one of these guys that could be in the Hiesman the Hiesman running for Georgia's offense. So at 13.5, you get that sweet 2-score opportunity. Can they win by 14? I'm leaning that way. I do think there's that big of a gap for Georgia.
Yeah, inside a little bit of a key number there at 14. Okay, next up, we got to talk your school or your former school. And speaking of big spreads, Michigan, favorite by 21 points, taking on Fresno State. National championship hangover for Michigan, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Expected to be competitive, not expected to repeat, though. 35-1 to repeat as national champions. They're going to win the game, but do you think they'll win by 22 or more?
It's a question. And you talk about the national championship hangover. There's that. There's also, you lost your whole coaching staff. You lost your quarterback. You lost your whole O-line, your top 2 receivers, your top running back. I mean, we could go, they lost a lot. And even though I'm higher on Michigan than a lot of people, it's fair to say it may take some time to settle in, particularly at the quarterback position. And with that, Fresno State is a dangerous program. Anyone that's watched Fresno State, I called their game versus Purdue to open the season last year, where they went on the road to Purdue and won. They're a dangerous program. The other thing you have going is Jeff Tedford was their longtime beloved head coach. He retired this offseason for health reasons. They're going to be playing their butts off for him. So it's always a great opportunity for a team like Fresno State to come into the big house and try to play spoiler. I don't think they win it, but can they keep it close? I wouldn't be shocked if they did.
So, yeah, this game has a big spread, right? And that's not rare for college football. We see some games get up into the range of 40-point spreads. Alabama is always a massive favorite multiple times throughout their schedule. So can you really put your finger on certain teams? Like, okay, yes, I think they will win by margin. Is it as simple as looking like, okay, this team is prone to pulling their starters early? Have you been in situations before when there has been a blowout and the team plays that situation a certain way?
I think what's really interesting is when you know it's going to be a blowout, what's the situation at your depth pieces? Like for Michigan, they have a quarterback battle going on. So if say they do get up a few scores and it's in the second half, they may rotate quarterbacks and keep in the rest of their starters because they want to see whoever the second guy is with the starters. That's something that could play into this. What about the other team? Like, hey, Fresno State in this example, they're playing for their head coach. I don't think they'll give up. They'll play all 4 quarters as hard as possible. So these are little subtle things you kind of have to look at. I like to follow the trends. Like, there's occasionally like college football trends when there's spreads of 40 plus, you take the underdog, right? Like those typically play out pretty consistently.
Okay, next up, this looks like the game of the week, Sunday Night Football. I love this college slotting the game in before the NFL games start. USC, LSU, total of 64 points. That's one of the highest totals of the week here. LSU favored by 4. LSU at 7 on the national championship odds board. USC sitting there at 20th. Both teams obviously starting over at quarterback. How do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, so you mentioned 64 points, but both teams starting over at quarterback. And if it was last year with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and the defenses both teams had, you might think this game will put up 100 points. We're used to these teams scoring points. But both teams, both coaches, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, understood the expectation is to win a national title. Both upgraded significantly at their defensive coordinator position. USC got Danton Lynn, who was the UCLA defensive coordinator. They had one of the best defenses in the country. LSU and Brian Kelly went to Missouri to get their defensive coordinator. We saw how tough Missouri played last year. So I actually think both defenses are going to surprise people. There'll always be an element of a shootout with these two coordinators and these two quarterbacks who I still like. But I think the defenses are going to shock people and be significantly improved. That might be the storyline in this game.
Okay, Jake, we're going to get your national championship and Super Bowl picks here in a moment. But first, you have a team win total bet, something a little under the radar here, potentially. Rutgers, the win total, sitting there at 6. And you think they go over it this season. Tell us why.
I really do. And again, I like these lines where there's a perception. That's where you can get value. Like I'll ask you, what do you think when you hear the program Rutgers in football? Do you think greatness, right?
I think James Gandolfini.
James, and shout out to James Gandolfini. We were talking I just started Sopranos, so shout out to James. But
yes, sir.
This is something you would be looking through and just gloss over it until you start to peel back the layers and say, wow, they return almost their entire defense. Oh my gosh, they return the Big Ten's leading rusher, a majority of their offensive line. They've kept continuity on their coaching staff. This is an extremely veteran team, seniors all across the two deep. And you also say Wimsett, their quarterback last year, was one of the worst quarterbacks in college football, could not push the ball down the field. Well, in the era of the transfer portal, they got Minnesota's quarterback, Callie McManus. He's not going to blow anyone out, but I think he is an upgrade. So you have to sit here and say, okay, just the progression of things, they should be better this year with everything returning. Also, you combine that with the fact they played in the Big Ten East, which meant they had to play Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State every single year. There's no more East and West in the Big Ten. They don't play any of those teams this year. So you have a veteran team, an experienced team, returning a ton of talent, and you avoid the big dogs in the conference. You look at their schedule. I won't go through every game. Go through their schedule. You say, wait a second, this team could easily win 7, 8, even 9 or 10 games this year. I would not be shocked.
Okay, so Rutgers to have a competitive 2024 season. Okay, let's finish strong here. Let's go big. Your predictions for the national championship game and the Super Bowl. Who beats who in each of these games?
College is hard now because you don't have AFC, NFC. I do like Georgia. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth with how the season ended last year. You saw that with how they pummeled Florida State. Who they play, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, any of those teams, I think have a good shot. I'll stick with Texas here just because I think Sark has them, ready to take that step. He's stabilized that program. Be a fun game to watch. And then in the NFL, can't bet against the Chiefs. They're looking to three-peat. But give me the Lions. I'm so in on Dan Campbell. I don't think this is a one-trick pony. I think the Lions are going to be back, physical, dominant, running the ball. I think the defense should be improved. I'd love to see that, the Lions versus the Chiefs. Those are always fun games to watch.
Yeah, the Chiefs obviously a popular pick. They're favorite to win the Super Bowl. It's so hard to three-peat, though. You need so many breaks in terms of health and, a couple bounces here and there in the playoffs and the big games and the number one seeds. And so we'll see. But, yeah, I think it's a perfect storm for the Lions.
What's harder to do, to three-peat or to bet against Pat Mahomes? Like, I almost feel worse about betting against Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid at this point,
Yeah, I don't think I ever bet against Brady in the playoffs, and Mahomes falls into that same category.
You probably made some good money doing that too. I mean, that's smart money. Just bet on Brady.
Absolutely. Okay, Jake, one hell of a debut here on Before You Bet. You have a busy weekend ahead of you, but we're going to be pumped to have you with us every single Thursday throughout the season. So good luck with your coverage this week. Good luck with any bets you place, and we'll catch you again next week.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, let us now turn the page over to Major League Baseball. We go from Jake, we go to Jingles. Jake, very smart guy. Pumped to have him with us all season long. Breaking down the world of college football, trickle in a little bit of NFL. Jingles, how are we making out today?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Good handicapping this morning. Talk to me about Michael Walker, though. That was a tough one. They let him go late. He was hanging on to 2 for a while, and they gave him that last one, and it turned out.
Yeah, we come on here Tuesday, and we're talking about Max Fried because we were talking about how great of a break it is as a bettor when a rain delay happens, an act of God, and it impacts your bet. It's luck when that happens, and you end up winning your bet mainly due to that delay happening. So, hey, great luck for us there. And then luck goes both ways in sports betting. Like I like to say, this was an awful beat. So Michael Walker, I had the under 2.5 earned runs yesterday afternoon in Cleveland against the Guardians, throwing a pretty good game. He throws 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 91 pitches thrown. That is usually right around his threshold, but what do? They bring him out for the 7th inning.
One more
to
batter.
face the 9-hitter. The 9-hitter goes solo shot against him to destroy the bet. So that absolutely sucked. Should have been a winning day for me. I went 2-2. But like I said, luck goes both ways, and maybe I'm due some here tonight. So we have 6 total bets. But tell me, how'd your hot dog challenge go yesterday?
Bro, I had to eat a hot dog for every Paul Skeens strikeout. He had 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and I was laughing at him. I'm like, this is easy. Also had like $100 on the under 6.5 at plus money. So it would have double stung. Then he goes for 2 in the third. And the hot dogs start tasting pretty terribly. Then he goes for 2 in the fourth. Now things are really starting to get ugly. Things aren't feeling good. 5th inning comes out, and he's kind of dealing. Couple double play balls. You're kind of like, oh, is it a double play? Wasn't. We escaped the 5th. You want to talk about luck? Pittsburgh blew it open in their bottom half of the 5th, just enough so that Paul Skeens could be in line for the win and not have to pitch the 6th. So they pulled him. And then epic comeback from the Cubs, who scored 11 unanswered runs in the top of that 9th inning, basically. Or sorry, I think they scored 8 in the top of the 9th, but came back. The double result paid 10-1 in that. So a little bit of money and ate 6 hot dogs.
6 how did you prepare the hot dogs?
Oh, awfully. Just there was anything good about it, Joe.
No, how did you cook them though? You didn't boil them?
Red hot and Wonder Bread buns and right in the air fryer. Just get it in there. It was it wasn't for my health. It wasn't for. I was just trying to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah, had you said you boiled them, I remember from my childhood eating boiled hot dogs with not a hot dog bun, a piece of bread, a slice of bread. That was the worst part of my childhood. I had a pretty good one, but eating hot dogs and hamburgers with sandwich bread, absolute disaster. Okay, enough hot dog talk. People are here for the picks. We have 6 total in Major League Baseball. A lot of afternoon action in the big league, so let's get going here. We got the Padres taking on the Cardinals in St. Louis. Sonny Gray on the bump. This has been a popular bet type for us this week. We're going to go under 17.5 outs for Gray. A lot of plus money here, plus 150 on this one. The price has a lot to do with it. If it was minus 110 on each side, I might not want anything to do with it. But the price pushes me over the edge. I love it because Gray is getting lit up a lot lately. 5 or more earned runs allowed in 5 of his last 9 starts now. A lot of trouble in the second half for him. Padres hitters raking versus righties right now, 4th in OPS over the last 2 weeks. And their hitters have had Sonny Gray's number combined for a 994 OPS against him in 63 at-bats. Machado and Bogarts have both been strong against Sonny Gray in double-digit at-bat opportunities, so don't be surprised to see them on base early in this game. Next up, we got to keep talking this Marlins Rockies series. Now we were talking about
it's getting a lot of airtime, Joe, for arguably the worst series.
I know. Now we're about to talk a walk bet for Marlins Rockies, but I went and looked up ticket prices for this one because now it's an afternoon game on a weekday. $1 gets you in to Coors Field this afternoon to watch Marlins Rockies. I think if I was off and had not, it's Major League.
Think about it. Yeah, even if you work from home, you could pay the $1, save the electricity bill from at home, turn things off, and just go to the ballpark for the day. Probably come out net positive in terms of what's in your wallet. But $1 is just, you might as well just let people in for free at that point.
Yeah, $1. Okay. Okay. So everyone wants a bet. That's what you guys are telling me. Everyone needs a bet detail for the big Marlins Rockies game. And of course, no bet sexier than a walk bet on Bradley Blaylock. Do we have any Bradley Blaylock fans watching the show today? As a helicopter flies over my house. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but over 1.5 walks for Blaylock, minus 105. The pride of Conyers, Georgia, by the way. And I think odds makers might be sleeping on this one. Major control issues lately for Blaylock. 7 walks in his last 2 starts. This guy has spent a lot of time in the minors this season, and he has a lot of 2-walk starts in the minors. And pretty good plate discipline here for Miami lately, a 9.8 walk percentage versus righties over the last week. This is typically a team that doesn't walk a lot, but hopefully they show a good eye here in Colorado this afternoon for the big game. Okay, Jingles, next up, another big series. One team, you can't knock the Tigers here. So the Angels in Detroit, LA on a 7-game slide, 6 straight wins for the Tigers now, who are 2 games above 500. This is not their season. Next season, they'll be looking to make a push for the playoffs. I think that's fair to say. They are a team on the come up, and you have a bet for this game. What do we got?
Yeah, I think our old friend John Metler's trying to unload a free ticket for this game, this afternoon game. Cater Montero versus Jack Karkinowitz. Make sure you say that one right. I'm sure no one's ever made fun of that guy growing up. But Jack, we targeted him early when he came up. He was a guy who came right from AA. He gives up a ton of hits. But with guys like Jack here, he gives up a ton of hits, but guys swing incredibly early in his counts. He's not a strikeout guy. He doesn't get deep into counts. His 3.5 pitches per plate appearance, if it qualified, would be the best in all of baseball. The books aren't pricing him right. They're kind of pricing him more as in his first 2 starts. But over his last 3 starts, he's gone over this number. He's gone at least 18 outs in both of them. He's shown he can get to 95, 93 pitches in a start. And I think he went 18 outs on 75 in his last one. So there's a lot to like. He can give up hits. It's not the greatest Detroit lineup, and it's going to be even worse because of the afternoon game. But this guy could get deep, and at plus money, I think this is a good spot for someone just, those 7-pitch innings where just like, if you're on the under, you're like, it's gone. My under is now gone. I'm going on the other way here, and hopefully I can get some of that efficiency for an over.
Okay, a little over 1,200 live viewers watching right now across YouTube and X. A very lively live chat. Our guy Nick Newport Jr. Dropping some of his plays in there. John Medler on vacation, but he's tuning in, laying on a beach somewhere, perhaps. Put the show on for his family. We are a family program here, by the way. So what's up to all the guys in the chat? Let us know if there's anything on the diamond you like today or tonight. Okay, let's keep on rolling here. Ryan Nelson on the bump here for the D-backs taking on the Mets. Late afternoon action for those of us on the East Coast. I think a pretty good plus money play here. Over 5.5 strikeouts plus 110. He's been a bit of a strikeout machine here on a tear that's seen him have 6 or more strikeouts in 6 of his last 7 starts. Taking on a Mets team that's striking out at the 4th highest percentage versus righties over the last 2 weeks. He's been especially hot at home versus some solid competition here too. Pitching deep into games versus the Phillies, Nationals, and Blue Jays. 2 separate 9 strikeout games in the mix in his last 3 starts at home. So Ryan Nelson, I think, being undervalued there, will have him to have at least 6 strikeouts plus 110 on that one. And let's go to this game. This is a series we've talked a lot about this week. Blue Jays, Red Sox. We have a pitch or a bet for each starter here. Francis on the mound for the Blue Jays, and this guy has come out of nowheres. He's been great his last 3 times out. Shitty competition, but 12 strikeouts versus the Angels last time, and you have a bet for him this time.
Yeah, he went 8 complete innings, went to go for the no-hitter in the 9th and gave one up to Taylor Ward in the 9th, but he's really established himself as a pretty decent pitcher since he's rejoined the rotation. Shout out to Nick Newport Jr. there for throwing up the prices at other books currently, and the Royals let us down big time yesterday, Nick. They could have caught up on some ground for that first place in the AL. Still 25-1, 3 games back of the Yankees. Get on that if you can. But there's a lot to like about Ben Francis here. He's obviously coming off that massive game where he threw 117 pitches. Okay, so he's going to get scaled back in this game. His out total has gone from 15.5 to 16.5, which is kind of weird, but I don't want to hit that just because of how efficient he's been. Nobody gets hits off this guy. 2.8 hits allowed per start over his last 5 starts since rejoining the rotation. He's been pretty nasty. So we have 2 outs. We have the out where the Jays can hold him back and he can go 75 pitches and go 5 innings or go 4 innings, and that's that, because the bullpen has only pitched 8.2 innings since the last time Bowden Francis pitched. There's a ton to like, and in this spot, we have different ways to go. We have the low volume thing with the pitches. We got the bullpen, but under 5.5 hits allowed is a situation I feel comfortable betting against this as opposed to the under strikeouts or the under outs. Just the under hits 5.5. He's been able to do on a full leash, and with a shorter leash, I can't see him giving up anymore.
Okay, let's go to the other dugout, the other starter, Cutter Crawford on the bump here, having a rough second half. We're going to look to fade this guy. We're going to go under 4.5 strikeouts plus 105. First of all, as simple as it gets, just check out the game logs. 4 strikeouts or fewer in 7 of his last 9 starts. Not a good opponent here to be mowing down. Toronto striking out at the 3rd lowest percentage versus righties over the last 2 weeks. This is a guy who is struggling to pitch deep into games here lately. He hasn't hit the 6 innings pitch mark in 7 straight. In those 7 starts, he has an 8.13 ERA. The Blue Jays did show no show offensively last night, but the bigger sample size has him at 5th in OPS versus righties over the last 2 weeks. So I think the Jays can knock him around a little bit, keep him from going deep into the game, and keep him from reaching the 5 strikeout mark. Jingles, we had a question off the top for a viewer I want to get your opinion on. NASCAR expert. He said, "Good morning, guys." He must be out west or perhaps in the Mountain Time Zone. Who gets your vote for the best uniform in Major League Baseball? Who do you got?
White Sox South Side, black with white pinstripes.
I like traditional. I hate the Yankees as a Blue Jays fan, but those pinstripe jerseys, they're awesome. They look really good, and I like traditional. The Dodgers whites with the blue across, super clean, looks good.
Which one's the brutal choice there, Del? Let us know down there. Is it we both went pinstripes? So,
well, if you're gonna criticize in the chat or in your own life, personal, whether it be about sports, if you're gonna criticize something, offer a solution. What is your pick? It's easy to sit back and criticize and make fun of stuff. Chicago White Sox. I like the White Sox black hat. The White Sox are an absolute disgrace of a professional sports franchise, by the way. But who has a really good alt uniform? It's another team that's a disgrace. The Oakland A's, the Kelly Green with the yellow. So I got to wonder, I know they're moving to Las Vegas here. Are they going to keep the A's name? Or are they going to completely rebrand? Because the A's, there's a bit of tradition there with the A's. They've been a goddamn disgrace.
Hit the reset button, bud. Hit the reset button.
Money, I know you go back to like Jose Canseco, and I know they were
the Ricky Henderson years,
70s. And I think the whole Moneyball thing is this is a firm stance that I've had. The whole Moneyball thing is totally overrated. You didn't have to make a movie about Moneyball. If they won the World Series, if they advanced to the World, they didn't even advance to the World Series, and you're making a movie about it? Starring Brad Pitt? That's a firm take, a firm stance of mine that I will never back off of. Okay.
I got 2 more to throw out there. The old school Pirates, black pants, yellow shirt with the ugly cap that wasn't really a cap. You know what I'm talking about there? And the Rockies with the choice that it doesn't really get enough attention. The Rockies vest jersey with the sleeves underneath. Yeah, that should come back.
Yeah, I'm not a big jersey guy by any means, but if you're a Yankees fan, there's no excuse not to be rocking a pinstripe, especially the season they're having. They've been great. Producer Dell, San Francisco Giants, Ricketts Field jerseys. I think he knows what he means. And John Mentler, where does the Blue Jays? Oh, those Blue Jays black when they changed the logo.
The City Connect jerseys are pretty dirty. They're good.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. The A's are very popular. It'll be interesting to see if Las Vegas kind of retains any of that. But yeah, probably tear it down, start over. Yeah, the Expos. The Expos logo isn't great, but I like their colors. Uniforms were nice and clean.
I know we're running late here, but one more thing while we're on jerseys, Joe. As a coach of baseball, I have to choose between wearing a full jersey, which is kind of stupid in professional sports. The only professional sport where the manager wears a full jersey. Would you be pro jersey, or would you just try to wear something else, like maybe some athletic shorts and maybe a little throwover jacket.
You mean as you coaching Little League or
if you were coaching Little League, like would you?
I do coach my son's team. And it's just, there's no expectation for the coaches whatsoever to have any type. I wear shorts and a t-shirt and a baseball hat. But yeah, I think that is a bit too much at the Little League level to be expecting the coaches to be suited up. But I think a level up, that's what they do. But I like kind of the coaches now. You'll see them wearing hoodies and stuff like that. They still have the baseball pants on, though. So Cincy City Connect are the best. That gets about. Yeah, those are pretty cool jerseys as well. Okay, I think producer Mick's in a hurry to get out of here because he keeps throwing up the recap graphic. So let's get on our way here. I got some work to do. Big week coming up here next week. Okay, best bets for today. Let's recap. I got 4. Sonny Gray. A lot of plus money here. Under 17.5 outs, plus 150. Blaylock going for the Rockies there. That big game. Over 1.5 walks. Ryan Nelson over 5.5 strikeouts, and Crawford under 4.5. And you can recap yours there as well, buddy.
Yeah, Jack Kokonowitz coming at the early game, I believe 1 o'clock or 1:10, over 15.5 outs, plus 107. Also like his over 5.5 hits at about minus 120 or better. And then Big Bowden Francis coming off that big game, 117 pitches, under 5.5 hits allowed, minus 110. Can do it with a big leash, but that leash should be shortened today after a pretty good outing.
Okay, great show today. Thank you, Jingles. Thank you to Jake Butt as well. Pumped to have him with us this season. So big show coming up again here tomorrow where we will be covering college football, NFL, and Major League Baseball. Jingles will be here for the Major League Baseball segment of the show. My old buddy Ian McMillan will be dropping in to give us a sense of what he likes coming into the season, maybe some week 1 bets from him as well. And Brad Powers is going to be leading off the show. We're going to get into some of the Friday night college football games. We're also going to be talking the biggest games of the weekend in college with Brad. So you're going to want to check that out. Now, Brad was with us on Monday's show as well. He break down his best bets for the week. So you can go back and watch that. The Covers YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right down there. Go to the live section. You can see Monday's show. And that's how it's going to work with Brad. Every Monday, it's going to be maybe some under-the-radar games that you should jump on, some lines you should try to take advantage of. Then every Friday, it's going to be the biggest games of the week with Brad. And then, next Friday, it's going to be our best bets for the NFL. So it's going to be a massive football show every Friday around here. If you like picks, that's what most people are here for. There'll be some discussion mixed in as well. But, big pick show on Friday for football. Jingles, any closing thoughts for the viewers out there?
Don't eat hot dogs for every Paul Skeens strikeout. You'll be sick.
Yeah, it's hard to get away with that as a man, a grown man. In your 20s, you can throw multiple back and compete in multiple hot dogs.
Very difficult explaining to my wife why I wasn't hungry for dinner.
I'm gonna be on the couch for the next 6 hours. Okay, let's wrap up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Big show tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. Best of luck with all of your bets tonight, and we will see you guys again tomorrow. Woo!